20 years.
I'm not as spiffy as he is.
20 years?
You can work at
Can you
it.
believe it?
Yeah.
There you go. Don't lose what's in the bank here.
What's in the bank? Is it a gift card from Ricardo's?
I'm not giving you anything. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Anyways,
You got your fans in the
I
audience.
know, right?
Congratulations.
And Mr. Sadar,
Liquor license request.
liquor license request, and Mr. Sadar, Tula, for Class A liquor license for,
Got a bar?
Harper, the Harper presentation.
I want you to see.
The Harper College Master Plan update.
okay, Harper College Master Plan update.
Thanks. Good evening, and thanks for this opportunity to come before you this evening to share a little bit of information about some of the work that we're doing at Harper College to prepare for our next decade. As many of you know, we just finished celebrating our 50-year anniversary, and one of the things we're doing now is preparing for the future. So my name is Mike Barzakini. I'm Director of Marketing Services at Harper College. I've worked at the college for about 18 years. I've had the privilege to work there, and have enjoyed watching it grow. And I'm really happy to be here today to update you on these campus master plan and community outreach efforts. So first, I'd like to give you kind of a quick reminder of who Harper College is and what our district is made up of. It includes more than 520,000 people in 23 communities, including Schaumburg, and we serve approximately 35,000 students each year. We're focused on student success and on ensuring our students complete so they have a successful future. We believe strongly in regional partnerships, and a lot of the progress we've made, especially in recent years, can really be evidenced by the partnerships that we've created. So this has led to success in how we work closely with local high schools, four-year universities, businesses, employers, villages, and community organizations. And things such as early college credit, where we have students in our local high schools earning up to 15 hours or more of college credit while they're still in high school to get them prepared for college, and also our registered apprenticeship program. Our partnerships with approximately 300 area companies allow us to provide these apprenticeship programs on our campus with unique hands-on training to teach high-tech skills in manufacturing, healthcare, and information technology. And in the last 3 years alone, our Small Business Development Center has advised 846 small businesses in the area, helped create or retain 552 jobs, helped start 85 companies, and assisted with $8.2 million in small business capital. Really, I think one of the big keys to our success that I've seen change over my years has been those partnerships. And our goal is to keep college affordable for our district residents. And we've done that through innovative programs, like many of you may have heard of our Promise Scholarship Program, a national model that provides opportunities for students to earn up to 2 years of tuition if they maintain solid grades and meet a few other important benchmarks while they're in high school. So as part of our 50th celebration, we started talking to our community almost 2 years ago about the college's future. Because of this outreach and this engagement, we developed a plan that focused on 3 priorities identified by the community and based on their feedback. And we've identified opportunities to fund these priorities without raising taxes. So what are these priorities? So priority 1 is to drive economic opportunity in our community. You may have heard this from our president, because this is one of his favorite lines when he goes out, because it's so important to him. He wants to continually remind us and the community that approximately 2/3 of all jobs will require post-secondary education and training beyond high school by the year 2020. Now, that may be a baccalaureate degree, that may be an associate degree, that may be another workplace type credential, but some type of formal training after high school in order to be successful in today's workforce. So how are we going to meet priority 1? There's a couple different ways in our plan. We're going to build a new collaborative and innovative facility that will become a hub for regional economic development by establishing a business resource center with programs like Fast Track, which is our adult degree completion program, customized training, and the Small Business Development Center. It will also be home to our University Center partnerships. University Center is, a lot of you that have lived in the community for a few years may have heard, or ask us a lot of times, when is Harper going to offer four-year degrees? Well, it's not likely that Harper itself would ever offer a four-year degree, but what we've done with the University Center partnership is we've brought three university partners on our campus to help, especially our adult place-bound students and those that can't travel anywhere to complete their education, to complete a baccalaureate on our campus more efficiently and more affordably. So this new facility would also be home for those University Center partnerships. I will say, because I work with this program, we've already launched this program in a small scale on our campus. In its first semester, we have 50 students, graduates of Harper College, who are enrolled in these University Center programs with our four-year partners to complete a baccalaureate degree. And last I checked last week, we have over 300 other students who are interested in pursuing that opportunity. So you can see the opportunity for growth here. It will also be a center to help residents keep skills current for today's workforce. Priority number 2 has to do with educating for today's high-tech jobs. Just as jobs have evolved and will continue to evolve, Harper must continually evolve. And there are a couple ways we'll address this priority: by modernizing our facilities and our curriculum. Doing this will allow us to better train skilled workers and support innovation. We'll renovate facilities for academic programs like accounting, business, and education, and we'll expand and improve capacity and facilities for health careers and manufacturing, so there are more opportunities in these growing fields. I know some of you have been on our campus for tours, and maybe some of you have toured our manufacturing area. That's an area that we've expanded 2 or 3 times in recent years, and we continually grow to and past capacity for those programs. Health careers is another area like that. And then priority 3 is improving campus infrastructure. It's really important to us that we're careful stewards of the community investment that's been made in Harper College over these past 50 years. It's important that we maintain, a beautiful and a safe campus, but most importantly, one that supports our student learning. We want to protect this investment for the community. And the ways we'll meet priority 3 are things like replacing roofs and electrical, plumbing, other aging facility needs, investing in technologies that support education and increase efficiencies. One of the things, if you've been on our campus for any of our recent building dedications, we work to take really existing structures and bring them up to 21st century standards by making them green, more energy efficient, and more effective for teaching and learning in this environment. So how will we fund all this? Because Harper has been fiscally responsible, we have the opportunity to fund these priorities without raising taxes. We can do this through renewing existing bonds. These bonds were issued in the year 2000, and they're due to be paid off in 2020. At that time, property taxes would decrease by approximately $23 for the owner of a $250,000 house. Issuing new bonds would keep those taxes at the same level, and then the college would be able to raise an estimated $180 million without raising taxes. We can do this in large part because our fiscal responsibility and good stewardship over these years with the community's tax dollars. We have a AAA bond rating that is the highest possible by the rating agency Moody's. This allows us to borrow money for capital improvements at the lowest possible rates, which benefits all taxpayers. So let me recap real quickly. Our community has identified 3 priorities to shape the future of the college. We can fund them by issuing new bonds for $180 million without raising taxes. $28.5 million would address priority number 1, which is driving economic opportunity through a new building to support economic development, keeping skills current for residents, and enhancing our 4-year degree partnerships. $88.7 million would address priority number 2, educating for today's high-tech jobs by modernizing facilities and curriculum and expanding and improving health careers and manufacturing facilities. And finally, priority number 3 would be $62.8 million for maintaining and improving campus infrastructure and investing in technologies. These priorities can be funded by issuing new bonds for $180 million without raising taxes. So in August, the Harper College Board of Trustees placed a referendum on the November 6th ballot. Now our voters will have the opportunity for the final say in approving this plan and addressing those priorities. We have additional information on our website at harpercollege.edu/strongfuture, including a copy of this presentation, more details, FAQs, those type of things. And if I can provide any additional information, I'd be happy to do so. But I really want to say again how much I appreciate the opportunity to come in front of you tonight and to share Harper College's plan and the feedback we received from the community, which has driven that plan. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Mike?
Could you print your name on my sign-in?
I did sign in.
Thank you so much.
I'm well-schooled in signing in at meetings, and absolutely.
Thank you.
Questions from the board? Well, you convinced everybody.
Easy crowd. Well, I really appreciate the opportunity again, and thank you so much. And if we can provide any additional information outside of this meeting, don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you.
Now,
Sudhir Velpula.
Is that your pen there, sir?
this is Mr. Velapula applying for a Class A liquor license. Tell us what your plans are at that location. Identify yourself for the record, please.
Actually, we run the business, Indian restaurant, back in Schaumburg, and we are the new owner, and we got the restaurant like 4 months ago, and we would like to serve the liquor in the restaurant. So I would like to apply the license to get approval from you guys,
Questions from the board?
Yeah, just a quick one. Is this a new
Trustee Dunham.
establishment?
No, it is already, we took over from some other owners.
Are you changing its name?
No, we are not.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Further questions from the board? Any objections from the board? Hearing none, you pick up the necessary paperwork from the Liquor Commissioner's office, be a background check by the police department, positive evidence on it, and the payment of appropriate fee, a license will be issued. And at this point in time, I would turn the.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
You just have to come in and get the paperwork.
The
You
consent,
have attached to the regular agenda, consent agenda will take one motion from the village board to approve all the items on the consent agenda. If someone has a concern or a question about that, please indicate that to the clerk. She'll take it from the consent agenda and it'll be discussed at committee reports. And now I turn the microphone over to our village clerk.
number 1, correspondence. The motion would be to approve the request from Shelter, Inc. to hold a raffle on November 16th, 2018 at the Hyatt Regency Schaumburg, 1800 East Gulf Road, and to grant a variance to Code Section 117.31 for the ticket price exceeding $5 and single prize value of over $1,000. B, the motion would be to approve the request from Schaumburg Dance Ensemble to hold raffles on November 30th and December 1st, 2nd, 7th, 8th, and 9th, 2018 at the L. Larson Prairie Center for the Arts, 201 Schaumburg Court, and to waive the fidelity bond requirement. 2, Planning, Building, and Development Committee. The motion would be to approve the proposed amendment to chapters 72 and 79 and refer the proposed amendment to chapter 154 zoning code to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a public hearing. B, the motion would be to approve the proposed amendment to the sign code, direct staff to direct the appropriate ordinance language, and refer the matter to the Zoning Board of Appeals for public hearing. 3, Zoning Board of Appeals. A, the motion would be to approve a variation to allow an additional wall sign for Universal Metro Asian Services, 827 West Gulf Road, Gulf Higgins Plaza. 4, traffic agreements. The motion would be to authorize the village president to execute the traffic agreement by and between the Village of Schaumburg and Schaumburg Plaza located at 1393 to 1457 West Schaumburg Road, Schaumburg, Illinois. 5, resolutions. The motion would be to adopt as resolution R18095, authorizing the village president and village clerk to execute an agreement between the Village of Schaumburg and Schaumburg Park District for permanent easement grant grant Walnut Lane. 6, ordinances. The motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 18-120, granting a variation to allow an additional wall sign for Universal Metro Asian Services, 827 West Higgins Road, Gulf Higgins Plaza. This concludes the consent agenda.
Thank you. A motion is in order.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Move to second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Would the clerk please poll the board?
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
Trustee Conley. Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Madej absent. Trustee Daly.
Aye.
5 ayes, votes no nays, motion carries. Committee reports come before the board. Seeing none,
Plan Commission.
Plan Commission.
Plan Commission.
For the record,
So Julie's going to do a brief introduction of this item. We also have Nick Scipione from the Plan Commission here this evening, who can give a recap of what occurred at the hearing, and then my understanding the petitioner is also here in the audience.
this is a fence variation. It's a corner lot located on Summit Drive, I believe at the corner of Summit and Green Hill. Or Summit and Beach, sorry.
This one.
The code states that fences cannot extend past where the building is located on corner lots. And this petitioner pulled a permit for a fence. It's a fence that encloses 3 sides of the yard. There actually is no fence along Summit. There's some pictures of it in your packet. It appears along the south property line to be a solid fence, but it in fact is not. But it is installed adjacent to some existing fences on the surrounding properties, and they have vertical boards, and this one has horizontal boards. And so in some areas it does appear to be solid, but the variation is not for a solid fence, and it's not a solid fence. It extends past the building line on the west side of the house adjacent to Summit by approximately 40 feet. This is an area where Summit curves, and so the building setback in the zoning district is 30 feet, but their home varies between, I believe it's 40 and 56 feet, approximately there from the right-of-way along Summit. And what the petitioner did was end the fence where the fence for their property to the back, their neighbor to the back ends. And because that house is located closer to Summit, they are allowed to have a fence in that location, and this property is not. Staff's recommendation was denial. Our analysis has shown that there's other similarly situated lots in the village, corner lots that have been required to adhere to the setback variation, and there doesn't seem to be a hardship in this case. The fence has been installed, but we evaluated this and believe it was clearly noted on the permit application, and that marked plan is in your packet, that the portion of the fence in question was not approved. The motion, I will add, failed to carry at motion to approve, or motion to deny failed to carry. There didn't seem to be consensus amongst the members present at the Plan Commission hearing. There were not enough votes to carry the motion. It requires 5, and there were not enough votes to carry. So it comes to you without a motion tonight.
Nick Scipione, Plan Commission. Correct, as Julie said, the motion to concur with staff to deny the variation failed 4-3. The folks that were in the majority of the 4 brought up the fact in our conversation about the permit clearly identifying that the fence was not approved for this particular portion, and a discussion on Summit being a major thoroughfare or not. And according to code, it is not. However, 3 members of the Plan Commission brought up the point that Summit is very busy, and there would be a case for a variation in this case upon bringing it to code when the property is sold. So that was our report.
Questions, comments from the board? Trustee Conley?
Julie, as I understand this, it's not allowed because this is their side yard. And so they can't go past the house in the side yard.
Correct.
But
yeah.
if the guy behind them came in for the same fence it would be that resident's backyard and would be perfectly allowed.
It can go that close, yes, that close to
And
the
it has
street.
nothing to do with Summit because that house is way closer to Summit.
Correct.
The house behind is way closer to Summit. So if you drew a straight line from their house, the diagonal is different, and it looks like it could get within 10 or 15 feet. Well, maybe not that much, but,
It would still be 30 because they meet the 30-foot setback. I think it just looks a little,
well, their house may meet the 30-foot setback, but
The
a
fence
straight line from their house.
you
would
wouldn't
get
draw
the-
a straight line. It would have
Oh,
to follow, it would have to follow the curve of the
Like their current one
road.
does, like their
Correct.
current one does. I mean, ordinarily, I say, you know, it's very clear that it says not approved. These folks didn't use a contractor, they did the fence themselves, and basically, all they were doing was covering a fence that was there so that they would have a solid line of looking at the same thing from their side of their property, which, when you ride by it, is very well kept. Because if the neighbor asked for the same fence, we would allow it. I have no problem with this variance.
Further comments, questions from the board? Trustee Daly?
Thank you. You know, I agree with Trustee Conley. I think this is kind of a little bit of a unique situation here and how this is laid out. I think staff is perfectly right in saying it's not approved, you know, not to recommend approval for it because it doesn't meet the code. But again, the way the house is kinked at this corner location, if it had been turned to face a little bit more, I'll call straight or due north, that would have pivoted that whole fence, and they might have gotten the whole thing. So I think it's kind of unique, and I think it's appropriate for staff to continue to, you know, be in that position, but I don't have any problem with this particular item. Obviously, I'm sure the petitioner will be more careful in the future of doing any improvements, but because they're having to go through quite a bit, but I'm perfectly fine with it.
Further questions, comments from the board?
Yes.
Trustee Dono?
To the petitioner, did you come in with the plan for this? Did you show it to the Community Development Department?
Yes, I did supply all the documents to the village, whatever, although I'm not that's not my forte, reading blueprints, forgive me. And I'm just going to tell you that when my wife received the permit, we were all happy. She came in and we went and purchased the materials and we went. And to tell you the truth, just because we did it ourselves, I've used my brother-in-law as a pair of hands also to do this, we missed it. We simply missed it. I mean, just, it's a unified, and most of you, ladies and gentlemen, live in the area. You see, my wife and I, we put a lot of work into this property, and
Are you saying that you, when you say you missed it, did you miss what the permit said, or did you?
correct,
I see.
correct. Just, we were happy to get it. It's like wonderful. We were anxious, and my wife actually, matter of fact, came to the village like, you know, is it ready? Is it ready? And as I said, we put a lot of work into this property. We bought it 2 years ago, and
How'd you happen to pick the crosshatch pattern?
oh gosh, you gotta talk to my wife about that one. That was her design. That was what she had to, and she's wonderful with that. I mean, she does a great job.
All right, thank you.
Trustee Kozak?
Yes, thank you. Julie, looking at this picture that we have here, two questions. Does, the way it's staggered up and seems to be going up and around like this, the height, very height on some of it, do we meet that? And then looking at it here where we got vertical and horizontal planking, do we meet the openness percentage on a fence with that?
I'm just going to walk up and look so I can see what,
Chicken wing, we meet, it's pretty close, do we meet the open?
That's two fences right there, isn't it?
yes, Trustee Sullivan is correct. This is, as I said earlier, it looks like it's a solid fence, and if that were one fence, it would not meet the 30% open requirement. But the property owner actually installed a fence in some areas, but not all, adjacent to properties that already had a fence. And so because they those adjacent properties had, some of them had vertical boards on their fence, and these are horizontal. It does make it appear somewhat like a solid fence. But it is one fence, and if just looked at this fence, it does meet the open requirement for 30%.
Trustee Dunham.
Well, Frank, were you finished?
I'm done.
No. Julie, I want to be sure I understood what the gentleman said. This was built differently than what the permit said?
They applied for a permit to build it as it was built. The permit was approved, and in your packet, you'll see there's a marked plat that in red shows the area that's approved and the area that is not approved, with notes saying that the fence needed to stop where the code would have required it to stop.
All right, thank you.
Further questions, comments from the board?
I think in contemplating a motion, we need to determine whether this is a variation the board intends to grant permanently or whether it needs to come into compliance when the property transfers.
And the way the ordinance is currently drafted, it has to be made in compliance at the time of transfer. That's in the written document before you.
And I think the second point is that the Plan Commission seemed to indicate that Summit had enough traffic now to qualify as a thoroughfare to allow for solid fences. That's not been staff's interpretation, and that's not our interpretation here, but if the board wants to change that or have staff look at that, I think that would be good direction to provide.
I don't think Plans Commission has that right to determine the amount of traffic.
I would agree with you. I'm just saying that that seemed to be part of their rationale for supporting this variation, or at least some members of the Plan Commission thought it was enough to support this variation. And I just want to make sure the board has a chance to weigh in on that so staff has clear direction moving forward.
Talking about solid fencing all the way down Summit?
It appears some members of the Plan Commission were suggesting that Summit had enough traffic to justify a solid fence.
Well, when school did it, there's certainly, but.
I don't know, Nick,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
want to
that
clarify.
was Nick Scipione Plan Commission. That was part of the folks who voted against the motion for denial because they felt like Summit it should be brought up for conversation that Summit is a major thoroughfare. But like I said, they were in the minority in the conversation.
It's a major policy issue.
That would be
Trustee Daly.
an extremely big change, Nick, because now you can park on both sides of Summit, and I'd like for somebody to show me how, what amounts to 2 lanes, 1 lane in each direction qualifies as a major thoroughfare. I mean, it sounds good, but no.
Trustee Daly.
Thank you. I was just going to say that that's not the actual discussion for tonight.
True.
Tonight is just for this, and I think, as the mayor's pointed out, it's a major policy change and should be saved for another time. So.
A lot of schools in town, a lot more fences.
Yep.
So a motion's in order then.
So if someone was inclined to make a motion to approve the ordinance with the limitation about being brought into compliance, there being no real recommendation from the Plan Commission, the motion doesn't need to include either accepting or rejecting a recommendation. Under the record that we have before us, the motion would simply be to waive first reading and approve as ordinance number 18-121, granting a fence variation, 415 East Beach Drive, application number, or petition number 1809.01 would be in order.
Motion.
Question.
Trustee Daly?
So according to that motion, it does not include a removal of the fence at the time the petitioner
But
sells.
it doesn't need to, Trustee Daly, because the ordinance, as drafted, has that in it as part of one of the items. Prior to sale of the property, the fence must be removed or brought into compliance. Upon approval by the village board of the motion I just recited as a possibility, a tax stamp hold will be placed on the property until the fence is removed or brought into a compliance.
That's fine. I have no problem one way or the other.
Was that your motion?
Well, wait, I don't understand the motion. Are we saying the motion would be to leave, we have to make a decision whether we want to leave that in or take that out.
Correct.
It's our option to leave that item 1 in or out.
Correct.
Correct. I simply said as drafted, the limitation is in,
in.
without making it part of the motion, because that's the language
Yeah,
that's
we
there.
don't have to make it as part of the motion.
Correct.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the petitioner's request, but remove item 1 from the ordinance as presented to us.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Okay, does your motion, trustee Connolly, then include a waiver of first reading?
Oh, yes.
Right. So to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 18-121, the ordinance that you have before you with, under section 2, paragraph 1, deleted in its entirety, and Arabic numerals 2 and 3 as it's currently drafted being changed to 1 and 2. That would be the motion.
Yes, sir.
Can I make a point of clarification? I want the board to understand you're approving what is being presented, so you're not approving necessarily a fence surrounding this property along Summit. You're just approving the fence to extend to Summit as proposed, because this plan will be adopted as part of the ordinance as written.
That's correct, yeah. It's
Okay.
not my intention with the motion that if they came back next week and wanted to do a fence along Summit, that ended up, coming up to the corner of their house or something. Absolutely not.
Did you
Okay.
make a motion to that effect, trustee
Yes.
Conley?
Yes.
Is there a second
Daly,
to that?
Trustee
Yeah.
Daly.
Give that second.
Yeah.
Trustee Dilly?
Yes.
Okay, well, moved and seconded. Would the clerk please poll the board?
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Madej absent. Trustee Daly.
Aye.
5 aye votes, no nays, motion carries. Do you understand what took place here this evening?
Yes, so I'm clear, it is approved to remain.
You can talk with Julie after the meeting, and she
Okay.
can answer any questions you have.
And I appreciate it, thank you so much.
Comments from the audience? We have now's your chance to talk to the trustees, 1-on-1, 1-on-12, 1-on-5, how many there are?
1 and 12.
Council report.
I have none this evening, thank you.
President's report, I have looked for the board's concurrence in an appointment to the Pilot Technical Advisory Committee for Mr. Clicker.
Colin Stagnito.
So a motion's in order.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Got one more.
And we have an applicant for membership on the Bikeways Advisory Committee. A motion's in order.
So moved.
Thomas Rickert is the name being proposed by the...
Second.
There was a second to that, wasn't there?
Yes,
Yeah.
Sullivan.
Sully? With the, there's a motion and a second. Would the clerk please poll the board?
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Madej absent. Trustee Daly.
Aye.
5 aye votes, no nays, motion carries. Any unfinished business to come before the board?
Managers report.
Trustee comments and mentions? No?
Nothing.
Nothing? Motion to adjourn is in order?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, folks.